You are broken. I know it. You know it. And somewhere deep inside, you have been trying, desperately, painfully, quietly trying to fix yourself. You have been reading the books, saying the prayers, crying in the shower, smiling in public, and still, something inside you feels shattered. Something inside you feels like it will never be whole again. And tonight, I want to look you in the eyes and tell you the most liberating truth you will ever hear in your life. You were never meant to be fixed. You are meant to be transformed. Let that land, let that breathe inside you for a moment. Because there is a difference, a profound, life-changing, soul-shaking difference between being fixed and being transformed. When you fix something, you are trying to make it what it was before. You are trying to return it to its original state. You are saying, this thing broke, and I need to put it back together the way it used to be. But transformation is something else entirely. Transformation says, I am not going back. I am going forward. I am not returning to who I was. I am becoming who I was always meant to be. And the only way that happens, the only way is through the breaking. Think about gold. Think about how gold is pulled from the earth, rough and raw and covered in dirt. Nobody looks at that unrefined gold and says, oh, what a shame, it is broken. No. They put it in fire. They put it through heat so intense, so unbearable, that everything that is not gold melts away. Everything that was hiding the real gold, the impurities, the heaviness, the weight, all of it burns off. And what is left? What remains after the fire? Pure gold. Brilliant, beautiful, unbreakable gold. You are not broken. You are in the fire. And I know the fire hurts. I know it feels like too much. I know there are nights when you lie awake and the darkness feels so thick. You could hold it in your hands. I know there are mornings when just getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain with no shoes and no map and no one waiting at the top. I know what it feels like to smile on the outside while something inside you is quietly bleeding. I know. And I am not here to tell you that it is easy. I am not here to give you a list of 5 steps to feel better by Tuesday. I am here to tell you something far more powerful than that. I am here to tell you that your pain has a purpose. Your pain is not a punishment. Your pain is a process. There is a Japanese art form called kintsugi. It is the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. When a bowl breaks, when a vase shatters, instead of throwing it away or hiding the cracks with glue, the Japanese craftsman fills every single crack with liquid gold. And the result is the most beautiful version of that piece that has ever existed. The cracks do not make it ugly. The cracks make it extraordinary. The cracks become the most valuable part of the entire piece. And the philosophy behind kintsugi is this, that something that has been broken and repaired with gold is more beautiful, more precious, more worthy of admiration than something that has never been broken at all. You are kintsugi. Every crack in you, every place where life has broken you open, every wound, every loss, every failure, every moment where you hit the floor and did not know how you would ever stand again, all of it is being filled with gold right now. You just cannot see it yet. You are still in the process. You are still in the studio of the master craftsman, and the work is not finished, but it is happening. It is happening right now in ways you cannot see and may not feel for some time. But the gold is being poured into every single crack of your life, and the day is coming when you will hold yourself up to the light, and you will not be ashamed of your cracks. You will be in awe of them. Because here is what nobody tells you about strength. They always talk about strength like it is something you are born with. Like some people just have it and some people do not. Like it is a gift that arrives wrapped in perfect packaging to certain chosen people. But that is a lie. Strength is not born. Strength is built, and it is built in the darkest, hardest, most unbearable moments of your life. It is built in the moments when everything falls apart. It is built in the moments when the person you thought would stay forever walks out the door. It is built in the moments when the dream you gave everything to collapses in your hands. It is built in the moments when the doctor gives you news that changes everything. It is built in the moments when you fail publicly, painfully, and have to decide, do I stay down or do I get up? Strength is the decision to get up. And you have gotten up before. I want you to think about that for a moment. I want you to travel back in your memory to the hardest moment of your life. Not the hardest moment right now, but the hardest moment you have ever survived. I want you to remember how impossible it felt. I want you to remember how certain you were that you would not make it through. I want you to remember lying on the floor, metaphorically or literally, and feeling like this was the end. And then I want you to look at where you are sitting right now. You made it. You survived that. The thing that felt like it would destroy you, it did not destroy you. It developed you. Every hard thing you have ever been through has made you more of who you are, not less. More. And I want to talk about something that we do not talk about enough, and that is the stories we tell ourselves. Because here is the truth. The most dangerous prison in the world is not made of iron and concrete. The most dangerous prison in the world is made of thoughts. It is made of the stories you tell yourself at 2 a.m. when no one is watching and the world is quiet. The stories that say you are not enough. The stories that say you are too much. The stories that say you missed your chance. You ruined everything. You are too far gone. You are too old, too broken, too damaged, too behind. The stories that replay your worst moments on a loop and call that loop your identity. But here is what I need you to understand. A story can be rewritten. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the worst thing that ever happened to you. You are not the worst thing you ever did. You are not the voice in your head that tells you that you are not worthy. That voice is not the truth. That voice is fear. And fear is a liar. Fear will dress itself up in the language of logic. It will sound reasonable. It will sound like caution and wisdom. But underneath all of that, it is just one thing. It is the voice of someone who has been hurt, trying to protect themselves from being hurt again. And I understand that voice. I have compassion for that voice. But I refuse to let that voice drive my life. And I am asking you, I am begging you, to refuse to let it drive yours, because you deserve more than a life lived in fear of being hurt again. You deserve a life that is fully, completely, unapologetically alive. And being alive means being vulnerable. It means loving even when love has broken your heart before. It means trying even when you have failed before. It means opening your hands even when life has taken things from your hands before. It means stepping into the arena, the messy, imperfect, beautiful arena of being a human being, and saying, I am here. I am not perfect. I have scars. I have wounds. I have a past, and I am showing up anyway. Because I am not here to be perfect. I am here to be real. There is something sacred about the person who has been through real pain and chosen to remain open. There is something holy about the woman who has cried every tear she had and still woke up the next morning and chose love. There is something extraordinary about the man who lost everything and built something new from the rubble with his bare hands. There is something breathtaking about the human soul that has been through fire and came out not bitter, but better, not hard, but deep, not closed, but cracked open in the most beautiful way, that is transformation. And I want to speak to someone very specific right now. I want to speak to the person who has spent years, maybe decades, trying to earn their own worth, trying to prove through their achievements, through their success, through their productivity, through their usefulness to others, that they deserve to be here, that they deserve love, that they deserve space in this world. I want to speak to the person who has made themselves small so that others would feel comfortable. Who has said yes when every cell in their body was screaming no? Who has poured from a completely empty cup because they were terrified that if they stopped giving, people would stop staying? Who has apologized for existing in rooms where they had every right to take up space? I want you to hear this with everything you have. You do not need to earn your worth. Your worth is not a salary. Your worth is not your productivity. Your worth is not your size or your title or your relationship status or the number of people who love you. Your worth is not even your goodness or your kindness or how much you have sacrificed. Your worth is not something you earn. Your worth is something you are. You were born, is something you. You were born worthy. You arrived in this world worthy, and nothing, not your failures, not your past, not your mistakes, not the cruelest words ever spoken to you, not the most devastating loss you have ever experienced. Nothing has the power to take that worth away from you. Nothing. Say that to yourself. Say it quietly. Right now, I am worthy. Not because of what I have done. Not because of what I have. Simply because I exist. Because I am here. Because I am alive. And being alive is enough. Now I want to talk about the people in your life, the ones who left. Because one of the deepest wounds so many of us carry is the wound of abandonment. The parent who was not there, the partner who chose someone else, the friend who disappeared when things got hard, the mentor who let you down, the person you loved with everything you had who somehow still could not stay. And that wound is real. That pain is legitimate. And I am not going to minimize it or rush you past it. But I want to offer you a different way of seeing it. Not everyone is meant to go the whole journey with you. Some people are in your life for a reason. They come to teach you something, to show you something, to open a door that you could not have opened without them. And when that reason is complete, They leave. And their leaving, as painful as it is not a rejection of your worth. It is simply the completion of their role in your story. The chapters of a book are not failures. They are the book. Every chapter matters. Every chapter moves the story forward. And the story is not over just because a chapter ended. The story is still being written. Your story is still being written. Your story is still being written. And here is something I have learned about people who leave. Sometimes the most loving thing a person can do is leave. Sometimes the relationship that ends is the one that was keeping you small. Sometimes the door that closes is protecting you from a room that was never meant for you. Sometimes the loss that breaks your heart is making space for something that will fill it in ways you cannot yet imagine. I am not saying it does not hurt. It does. I am saying that sometimes what feels like abandonment is actually redirection. And redirection, even when it is brutal, is still a form of grace. I want to talk about failure now, because somewhere along the way, we got a very confused idea about what failure means. We started treating failure like it was evidence of inadequacy, like if you failed, it meant something was fundamentally wrong with you. Like the people who succeed never fail. Like the ones who made it somehow found a secret path that avoided all the hard things. And that is one of the greatest lies ever sold to human beings. Because the truth is, every single person who has ever built something meaningful, created something beautiful, contributed something lasting to this world, every single one of them has a long, impressive, sometimes humiliating list of failures. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the path to success. Every failure teaches you something that success cannot. Success tells you what works. Failure tells you what does not work, which direction not to go, which tool to put down, which approach to abandon, which belief to question. Failure is data. Failure is feedback. Failure is the universe saying, not this way, try another. And the only people who never fail are the people who never try. And that is the saddest failure of all, the unlived life. The dream you never pursued because you were afraid of failing. The love you never expressed because you were afraid of rejection. The book you never wrote. The business you never started. The conversation you never had. The risk you never took. All because failure felt like too high a price to pay. But here is the case. Justin, I want to leave ringing in your heart. What is the price of not trying? What does it cost you in joy, in aliveness, in the fullness of your one precious life, to play it safe? What does it cost you to stay in the comfort zone that is slowly suffocating you? What does it cost you to keep choosing the familiar pain of smallness over the terrifying freedom of becoming? Because I want to tell you, the pain of regret is heavier than the pain of failure. The weight of what if is heavier than the weight of I tried and it did not work. Because at least if you try, you know. At least if you try, you learn. At least if you try, you are fully, completely alive. And being fully alive, even in the messy, uncertain, sometimes painful process of trying, is the whole point. That is what we are here for. And I want to speak now about the gift of the present moment. Because so many of us are living everywhere except here. We are living in the past, replaying old wounds, revisiting old mistakes, We're reading chapters that have already ended. Or we are living in the future, anxious about things that have not happened yet, trying to control outcomes that are not yet written, exhausting ourselves with worry about a tomorrow that may never arrive in the form we are dreading. And all the while, the present moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this one unrepeatable slice of aliveness is passing quietly, gently, irreversibly passing. The present moment is the only place where life actually happens. The past is a memory. The future is a thought. But right now is real. Right now is where the transformation actually occurs. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. And when you learn to come home to now, when you learn to feel your feet on the ground and your breath in your body and the aliveness that is moving through you in this very moment, something shifts, breathing settles, the noise gets quieter, the fear gets smaller, because fear lives in the future, shame lives in the past, but peace lives right here. Peace lives in the now. Come home to now. And I want to talk about self-compassion because I believe that the way we speak to ourselves is the most important conversation we will ever have. More important than any relationship, any job, any external circumstance, because that conversation, the one happening inside your own mind in the privacy of your own skull, that conversation shapes everything. It shapes how you see yourself. It shapes how you see others. It shapes what you believe you deserve. It shapes what you are willing to pursue. It shapes the entire architecture of your life. And so many of us speak to ourselves in ways that we would never speak to someone we love. If your closest friend came to you and said, "I failed at something, I made a mistake, I am struggling," would you look at them and say the things you say to yourself? Would you call them stupid? Would you tell them they are hopeless? Would you remind them of every mistake they have ever made? Would you tell them they are too broken to ever be loved? Of course not. Of course you would not. You would hold them. You would listen. You would remind them of their strength. You would tell them that one mistake does not define them. You would speak to them with tenderness and truth. And my question, my simple, urgent, life-changing question is this: why are you not doing that for yourself? You deserve the same compassion you give to others. You deserve the same patience, the same grace, the same tenderness. You are allowed to make mistakes and still be worthy of love. You are allowed to be a work in progress and still be enough right now. You are allowed to not have it all figured out and still show up every day and give it everything you have. You do not have to be finished to be valuable. You do not have to be healed to be whole. You can be healing and whole. At the same time, you can be in process and still be worthy of every good thing life has to offer. Give yourself that grace. Now, I want to speak about purpose, because I believe that one of the deepest hungers of the human soul is the hunger for meaning. We can survive almost anyhow if we have a why. And sometimes in the middle of our pain and confusion, we lose sight of our why. We forget why we are here. We forget why we are made of. We forget the particular unrepeatable contribution that only we can make to this world. We start to believe that we are interchangeable, that we could disappear and nothing would be different. that the world would not miss what only we carry. And that is never ever true. There is something in you, a perspective, a voice, a way of seeing, a particular combination of experience and sensitivity and strength that exists nowhere else in the universe. Not in anyone who came before you, not in anyone who will come after you. The specific fingerprint of your soul is unique to you and to you alone. And the world needs what you carry, not a polished, perfected, finished version of you. The real you. The you has been through things. The you who has scars. The you who sometimes does not have the answers. The you who is still figuring it out. That you, the real human, imperfect, alive you, is exactly what someone in this world needs to see. Your transformation is not just for you. Every time you choose to rise after falling, you give someone else permission to rise. Every time you choose honesty over performance, you create space for someone else to be honest. Every time you choose to keep going when everything in you wants to stop, you become the evidence that someone else needs, that it is possible. You become the proof. You become the living testimony, not because you are perfect, not because you have it all together, but because you are real. And realness, authentic, vulnerable, courageous realness, is the most powerful force on earth. It changes people. It saves people. It reminds people of what they are capable of. And so I want to ask you, not as a motivational question, but as a genuine soul-level question. Who is waiting for your transformation? Who is sitting in a room somewhere, drowning in their own pain, desperately needing to see that it is possible to come through it? Who is your daughter, your son, your friend, your colleague, your neighbor? Some stranger whose path will cross yours years from now, who is waiting for the version of you that went through the fire and came out gold, because they are out there and they need you, not the fixed version of you, the transformed version, the version that knows what it is to break and knows what it is to rise, the version that can sit with someone in their pain without flinching because you know that pain. You have lived it. You have survived it. And you can look them in the eyes and say, I know, I understand, and you will make it through. That is a gift that only you can give. And I want to end by coming back to where we began, because I want you to hear this one more time, in a different way, deeper than before. You have been trying to fix yourself. You have been treating yourself like something that is broken and needs to be returned to its original state. And I understand why. The world tells us that. The world holds up an image of what whole looks like, what successful looks like, what happy looks like, what worthy looks like. And when we do not match that image, we conclude that something is wrong with us, that we are defective, that we need to be fixed, that we are less than. The wrong question. What if the question is not, how do I fix myself? What if the question is, who am I becoming? What if the cracks are not evidence of damage, but evidence of depth? What if the struggle is not a detour, but the actual road? What if everything you have been through, every loss, every failure, every heartbreak, every dark night of the soul, every moment of unbearable uncertainty, what if all of it has been working together quietly and purposefully to build something in you that could not have been built any other way. What if you are not behind? What if you are exactly on time? What if this right here, right now, exactly as you are, is not the broken version of you? What if this is the becoming version of you? And becoming is sacred. Becoming is holy. Becoming is the most courageous thing a human being can do. To stand in the middle of your own transformation, not yet knowing what you will become, not yet able to see the final shape of the gold, and to choose to trust the process anyway, to choose to show up anyway, to choose to believe that the story is not over anyway. That is not weakness. That is the most profound kind of strength. So I am asking you today, right now, in this moment, to put down the tools you have been using to fix yourself, to stop apologizing for your cracks, to stop hiding your story, to stop treating your hardest chapters like they are shameful secrets. They are not shameful. They are sacred. They are the very thing that is making you extraordinary. They are the gold being poured into the vessel of your life. You were never meant to be fixed. You were always meant to be transformed. And the transformation is already happening. In every breath you take. In every morning you choose to get up. In every moment you choose kindness over bitterness, hope over despair, love over fear. It is happening in you right now. And I promise you with everything I have, that the day is coming when you will look back at this exact moment, this moment of uncertainty and struggle and becoming, and you will understand why it had to be this way. You will see how every piece fit. You will see how the breaking was the making. You will see how the wound became the wisdom, how the mess became the message, how the test became the testimony, and you will be grateful, not for the pain itself, but for who the pain made you, not for the breaking, but for the gold it revealed. You are not broken, you are being transformed, and the world is waiting for who you are becoming.